culmination of about 2 years work, and it was a surprise to me in terms of how to emerge. But all my work is kind of diaristic and autobiographical, so in that way it's not a surprise. But I settled on the title, Talk to the Moon, which is the title of this piece for the show, because I think of that phrase, talking to the moon, as a way of like talking to your sort of mirror self or shadow self or subconscious, and that there's a sort of connectivity to the moon as this celestial body that has like real impact on your primarily water-based body. So extrapolating some ideas from my other previous large body work called Mystic Geometry, which looked at how nature designs and patterns are pervasive in nature, as well as in mysticism and mathematical philosophy and ideals, structures, and then sort of pulling that really big outside world that's very cyclical to sort of an interior space, like the inscape. So think about like outside landscape, bring that in, and also kind of manifesting visually sort of the energetic relationship between people. So not just your relationship with yourself and sort of self-reflection, but kind of how we relate to other people consciously and unconsciously, and how that forms a huge part of our experience in life. And also this sort of merger with the human figure form with nature. This piece is called Blue Lady, but it is very reminiscent of like a Bodhisattva or a Tanka painting with this kind of female deity. And I work really intuitively in terms of color choices or structures, and I figured out later. And so I was using this ultramarine blue, and I was like, I knew about the white Tara and I knew about the green Tara, but I didn't know about the blue, and so I looked it up, and it's the transmutation of anger. And a lot of the work was also in response to sort of cresting of sort of misogyny culturally, And I also lived in India when I was a teenager. So it's not like I'm seeking it out, sort of just bubbles up and emerges out. Speaking of being a teenager, these poems I started writing when I was 19, 20, so half my life ago, and they'd been on the back burner. They weren't finished. They're alliterations of every letter in the alphabet, and I always wanted to finish them, and I thought this was the perfect time to do that, because the constraint of working with only one letter forces this sort of like subconscious bubbling to come out and emerge, and so it's like this combination of control, structure, and chaos. So I was going to read some of these, not all of them, some of these to you guys. My director's not allowing all of them. So what I was going to ask is just people to say their names, and then I would choose the letter based on it. So if you can just like volunteer your name. There's actually 3 M's here. Mm-hmm. So I'll just start with
I'm Rose.
Okay, I'll do.
There's a Rose.
Okay, let's start with Rose. R. Rainbow rhinoceroses rise righteously, rejoicing rhythms ripple roundly. Language has always been this kind of very mutable, sort of elusive thing, not just practical, but kind of like this form to contend with. And I realized too, it's the musicality of it. And I played, before I considered myself an artist and focused on that, I played music for a really long time, cello.
Yeah, you all the hands in the house.
Okay. Oh, this one's nice. Oh, it's really interesting. Certain colors emerge more often. All right. Miniature magnolias mirror magenta moonbeams, manifesting mindful magpies. Moreover, masked mackerel madams masticate mysteriously. Magnanimous Maltese mansions make modest, murky mauve marine maquettes. monsoon membranes meld mystical marzipan matrices.
Those were a couple excerpts from my Cabinet of Curiosity word poems, and this is a view looking in to Day and Night Projects, where you can see along the windows is a site-specific installation. This work, Blue Lady, is made of mixed material, including collage and crayon pastel, acrylic paint, and vinyl. This work is from the Totemic Portrait Series.
Thank you, and thank you to Megan and Mark and Stephen and William too for inviting me here and letting me do this. So does anyone have any questions? You can always ask me off stage. But thank you very much.
It's just, damn, your artist statement here?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's printed out. It's kind of long. It's good. Well, I just figure, there's a lot going on. Yeah. So these cutouts are more directly self-portraiture, but I've abstracted them through the reduction of form. And I just used myself because I needed a figure, and then
Thank you to everyone at Day and Night Projects.